Hello and welcome to Crux Investor. We caught up earlier today with Scott Moore. He's the CEO of Eurosun Mining. They're a Romanian-based copper gold play. Think of listing on the LSE later this year. We talked to him about their EIA process, the DFS numbers that have just come out, and about doing business in Romania and feeding into the European battery metals ecosystem. If you have thoughts and opinions on that conversation, you can catch that at cruxinvestor.com/club, where you can also find detailed company reports and analysis. There's commentaries from experts from around the world on a variety of companies and commodities, including the battery metals ecosystem in Europe and the US. There are training courses on there to help you with your diligence process, and we do summaries of all of our interviews to save you some time because we know you're busy people. And most importantly, why don't you go and join a thriving community of investors sharing their thoughts and ideas with each other in a nice, safe and friendly environment, free from judgment, trolling and abuse. If that sounds nice to you, you can do that at cruxinvestor.com/club. We'd love your feedback too. So do give us a like, we appreciate it. If your thoughts below, get back to everyone. And if you want to see precisely what we talked about today with Scott, do take a look in the description below. Scott, how are you, sir?
Hey, good to see you this morning here.
Good to see you. Where are you?
I'm in Romania. Yeah, I've been here for a couple of months, escaping the COVID in Canada, but hopefully things are getting better everywhere.
Oh, I thought you were permanently based in Romania. So you skipped home.
I go back and forth, yeah? But I go back and forth, but back and forth is challenging, and with air travel these days, so better off to stay close to the project here while we're going through some critical items and successfully moving forward. So.
True. And how is the Romanian government dealing with everything?
Yeah, they go back and forth between light lockdowns and maybe heavier lockdowns, but I think that's generally the consensus across Europe. But they're also talking about having everybody vaccinated by June 1st and everything wide open. So let's see if that's the case. But
is Romania, remind me, is Romania inside the EU or is it attempting to get in the EU?
Yeah, it's in the EU proper for sure. Yeah, it's one of the 27 member states. Advantageous to get around and move people and goods and everything else, so we can bring in people from anywhere to work on the project, but mainly the team for us is all Romanian. So
as a Brit, I'm very jealous. I wish we still were.
You missed that. Oh yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's happened. Right, better not talk about depressing matters like that. We're going to talk about you. So, Scott, do us a favor. We spoke in October, but for people new to the story, can you give us that 1 minute overview of the business, and I'll pick it up from there.
Sure. I guess going back from October, Eurosun Mining, single-minded asset company. We're developing the Rovina Valley gold and copper project here in Romania. It's large. It's the second largest gold mine in Europe. One of the top 14 undeveloped gold and copper projects globally. It's big, it's simple, and we hold about 7 million ounces of gold and about 1.5 billion pounds of copper. And it's 2 open pits and 1 underground. And we've had a big success getting the mining license ratified by the federal government. And now we're in the final stages of the environmental permitting and rezoning plans, and we just delivered a very robust definitive feasibility study on the project just about a month ago on March the 1st.
You have. I saw it. But no one cares. Your market cap's $54 million. No one's listening. Why not?
Yeah, I would say for us, it's driving ahead on the project and ticking the boxes. And it's de-risking milestones. It's continually, delivering on permitting. We've checked the box now on the technical side of things. That report will actually be, in a couple of days on CEDAR. Everybody can read the whole 600 odd pages. But, Romania is always viewed as this anti-mining jurisdiction when in fact it's not. Okay. And we have a big overhang with a company called Gabriel Resources that tried to build a very similar sized mine to ours. But they use cyanide, they use wet tailings. It's UNESCO World Heritage Site for Roman ruins. They have to move a village. All those, horrible things that everybody likes to go against from the NGO perspective. We have none of them, right? So it's a different project. It's a different process, and hence the government's been approving the permits as we go along through the, I would say heavily bureaucratic process, but it is a process. It's very clear cut on what you have to do. And it's just continued checking the boxes as we go forward.
Okay, so as far as you're concerned, Gabriel Resources, very specific case, doing things that you're not. So no one should draw comparisons to that. Romania is a good jurisdiction for mining? Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Yeah, there's lots of mines here. In fact, and most of them are, I would say historically been state-owned because, again, as a communist country back up until the 90s, state-owned everything, right? So there's not like there's a lot of foreign activity, but what the foreign activity is a company listed on AIM is also down here. They got a big state-owned copper mine, a similar size project to ours. So it's not like they don't have large-scale mining. They have underground mining, coal mining, open pit mining. It's just not heavily in the news particularly being most of it state-owned still.
Okay, I do want to talk about the project, and I definitely want to talk about the DFS because the numbers look really interesting. Okay, but let's deal with some of the other objections I think people are putting up here. So, Force Manhattan, not a very well liked group for some reason. Are they still a shareholder? Are they still an influencer in the way that you go about running this business?
No, in fact, that's not the case at all. So, Eurosun completely left the group back in May of this year, or 2020. We did a large financing, brought in some very significant institutional shareholders at that time, restructured the company, added new board members, new independent chair, all leading up to, again, somewhat of a divorce, if you want to call it that way. But yeah, we have as far as we know, they don't have any shares in the company, and we're a fully independent company on our own, operating without any influence or at all from the group.
Right. Okay. And let's talk about the. You made an announcement actually earlier last week talking about the environmental assessment process. Okay, because I think people have been concerned in the past about you going through a rezoning as well, and in terms of the EIA, it's a very long, drawn out process, isn't it?
Not necessarily. And again, just to reiterate, it is a very, very well laid out process on how you deliver the permitting here. So right now, yes, part one is the urbanization certificate for the land, which is a rezoning plan. So you have pastoral land, you have forest land, you got to rezone it. This is left over from the Soviet system to go through this rezoning plan process. And the second half of that same process is the strategic environmental assessment, which is done at the county level with the local EPA. And it's basically, checking the box, assembling all our studies that we have on the project, and getting sign-offs or opinions from local administrative bodies like the police department, the army. Is this everybody has to check the box. We'll have a public audience on that around September, public consultations. You should expect to complete in the fall the urbanization certificate for land, and then we are able to file our EIA process with the state level government here in Bucharest. And once you have a positive decision on that, you actually get a construction license delivered within 30 days. So the EIA process at the state level is quasi-technical, so you have to deliver almost not quite detailed engineering, but high-level engineering in order to get the construction license, and that's all now flowing out of the feasibility study, which we just delivered.
Okay. And the other thing I noticed was Peter Vukanovic has come on as exec chairman. Why is he being brought in? What's he going to give you?
Well, again, ESG principles are very key for us. We have the big E here with the environmental side of things, having dry stack tailings and no cyanide. The social side of things, we have a tremendous opportunity on the ground here with local support, county support, and federal support as demonstrated by the mining license. And the governance side is continued having independent chairs. I'm the only exec on the board, and also we are anticipating going forward with a listing on the London Stock Exchange this quarter. And an independent chair is definitely a requirement for a listing in London. And again, we are delivering electric metals from the European Union into the European Union, and having a London listing and putting the eyeballs on a European story, I think, is a big part of how we can raise the market awareness and the share price of the company in a big re-rating way.
And are you aiming for the main board or on AIM?
It's a main board listing, yeah. So it's a standard listing, they call it. Again, we are listed on the main board of Toronto, so we don't have to go down the AIM route. We're not a venture listed company. We are a serious company with a serious asset, and this would be an LST main board listing.
And what gives you? I mean, that costs money, right? Again, I sort of come back. You raised some money last June, right? But the market cap is the market cap, and it's to raise money at this level is pretty expensive. What gives you the confidence that Europe's going to be interested in your story?
Well, I think it's the whole narrative of electric metals and EVs and everything else coming into the European Union. And there's this is a big market. It's going to continue to grow. And for us being one of the, let's say, the near-term projects to deliver copper into the European Union to support all that infrastructure, the growth of EVs throughout Europe, even the infrastructure associated with electric vehicles takes a tremendous amount of copper. And with the feasibility study, we're now bringing in our second open pit deposit, which is mostly copper. So we actually are effectively a copper company. We only make a copper concentrate. It happens to have high grade gold in it, but we're a copper company that has 60-40 gold to copper on a revenue split. So we only make a copper concentrate, and we will deliver that likely to a smelter within the European Union as well.
Right. Okay. So let's talk about this DFS. There's some of the numbers that came out of it. Why don't you give us the highlights first of all?
Sure. Big change from the PEA of 2019, longer mine life. So we're looking at 17 years mine life versus 12 in the PEA. We probably have about another 2 years of stockpiles after that. That's not included in the feasibility study. We put a pin in the capex. So sub $400 million capex. Again, porphyry systems tend to be $1 billion capex, right? But all the infrastructure of being in a first world area like Romania, drive to site on 4-lane paved highways, everybody lives in a house, don't have to build a camp. These are all important factors to lowering that capex number. And they're actual bids. So that's a very high level of confidence in a feasibility study, plus minus 10%. Every piece of equipment has an actual quote on it. Land movement, everything else is all included. So that confidence level, putting that pin in what we show right now is 146,000 ounces a year for the first 10 years, 132,000 ounces over life of mine, an AISC of $813. So this is like first quartile in terms of all-in sustaining costs. It's a big, simple mine that makes a lot of money. And if I look at, the feasibility was done at $1,550 and $330 copper, NPV is $360 million US, 19% internal rate of return. And if I look at spot pricing, the NPV doubles to about $650 million, and the NPV almost 27%. So highly levered to gold and copper prices, as you would expect with porphyry systems. We're going to mine 7 million tons a year. Somewhere down the road, you might want to mine 14 million tons a year. But you want a project that you can build, start, operate, and scale at a later date.
Okay, given you put the DFS numbers out there, given you're talking the story of battery metals within the EV ecosystem there in Europe, conversations with banks, with debt providers on this sub $400 million number. Have you had any?
We've had a number of them have already started. Everybody's waiting for that actual document to be filed on our CDARF process, which is like 2 days away. So we'll have that filed on roughly the 14th of April. Everybody can read the exciting 400 pages or 600 pages, whatever it is. But that's the key point. So we've also had NDAs already signed with some of the major French banks, which participate in project finance on a global basis. You look at the Natixis, the BNP Paribas. Lots of discussions already ongoing with the German development banks, again, delivering copper into the European Union as key and looking for support. European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, ongoing discussions there on participation in the project. So yeah, the debt side is well advanced, including a number of private equity debt funds as well, and credit funds. So I think this is the ability to bring capital into Romania is easy, but more importantly, it's very easy to get money out of Romania, which is very challenging in some places in mining. Like we're in the European Union. I want to drop $100 million in Romania, you can take $100 million out tomorrow. You can't do that in a lot of Latin American countries or African countries. It's very difficult to flow capital in and out in some other jurisdictions. It's very easy here. We've got a stable currency. We're not on the euro. This is a big important factor too for cost perspective. We're a power intensive company because we are mining and milling, but power is inexpensive here. Most of it's generated either through hydroelectric or nuclear power in Romania. We're connected to the national grid. This is clean power. We're conveying materials instead of trucking for the most part, all lowering our carbon footprint on the project. So I think when you look at dry stacking, no wet tails, conveying where you are, green power, we're checking all the buttons on ESG that you can possibly think of to make sure that this project fits into the highest and best standards for environmental stewardship.
See, I mean, interesting point you just made. You compared yourself to South American countries, right? And but I say one of the big objections that people have, one of the things they're slightly nervous about, is doing business in Romania. It's not. I don't think it's entirely down to what happened with Gabriel Resources. It's a case of no one knows it, no one understands it. What are you arguing, that you're a better jurisdiction than, say, a few of these South American countries that
I have worked in I have worked in spent a long time in Peru, and the challenging jurisdictions, and a lot of it is bureaucratic governments. It's governments that change a lot. It's capital flows. It's social opposition. These are all the challenges that you have in, let's say, Latin American countries. We're in the EU. This is like working in Germany, right? Like everybody's driving around in Audis and BMWs and Skodas and you name it. Every major corporation that you think of operates in Romania: Microsoft, Oracle, Continental Tires, Renault, Ford, you name it. So it is a proper jurisdiction. And I think just because it's in Eastern Europe, it's kind of been a bit off the map for quite some time. But listen, it's one of the best jurisdictions I've operated in, particularly for the permitting phase of things. Yes, it's bureaucratic, as you would expect coming out of post-communism, but it's a process. It's designed. You go through the process, you check the box, you move to the next step. And so, we're a big project. Our project footprint is like 505 hectares, so over 1,000 acres. So as you can expect, this is a big, complex project that takes time. It's going to take, probably a year and a half to build. It's big, but again, the process is well defined, and we're checking the boxes and getting continued support. The biggest challenge was getting that mining license ratified by 6 senior ministers and the Prime Minister. That's published in the National Official Gazette. So all the success is there to move this project forward, and we just got to keep hitting it. All the investors saying, guys, wake up, this is $60 million. This is a crazy price for 150,000 ounces of production for 2 decades with a capex of under 400 million with a mining license in hand. So I think that's the big focus of us, is continuing to ham forward that mining permitting is going well. It's moving forward. Yes, it's bureaucratic, doesn't move fast. No permitting in mining moves fast, as we all know, okay? And the government's not flip-flopping, going back and forth like Ecuador saying, well, here's a brand new moratorium on mining. Well, no, we don't have that here. It just keeps moving forward. The country's been in the European Union since 2007. It continues to mature as you would expect and follow. And again, our project is following all Romanian and European Union regulations, which, as you can expect, are somewhat onerous when it comes to environmental side of things. And again, dry stacking, no cyanide. This is the best environmental project, copper and gold project out there right now being built.
So I mean, you've had a tough run of it. Okay, you've had to deal with people's perceptions of Manhattan Forbes, the country itself, the ability to get permits, ability to get a mining license. It's one thing after the other. What's the moment you think looking forward on this project, that people are going to start paying attention? Is it the London listing? Is it the EIA approval? I mean, how do we get a sense of the timing that we're looking at here?
Well, listen, people can look at what happened in our shareholder base in 2020, right? So you brought in, we did a large financing with Sprott Capital Partners. We brought in, 3 of the larger gold funds, institutional funds out there, with Ruffer, Franklin Templeton, and the ASA Gold Fund, Merck, BNP Paribas Fund, Ixios, APAC out of Hong Kong. A very strong institutional shareholder base, which is probably now over 50% of our shareholders are institutional. The classic uptick in the Lassonde curve as we move into the development phase, and every new piece of news that we put out that demonstrates positive permitting progress, I think will be absolutely well received by all investors going forward. Again, we're going to start going through the financing phase and putting financing packages together. Again, very keen interest from the French banks, the Germans, the private equity funds, the credit funds. It's Europe. It's not Africa. It's not Latin America. When you talk about country risk, there's no country risk, right? You can get your money in, you can get your money out, right? And that's the important factor that we're dealing with here.
So talking about the money, raising money, and I get the debt component you're going after on the CapEx. off the back of the DFS, but you're going to have to put some equity in. And at the current 54 million level, that's expensive equity. That's potentially very dilutive to you. What are the options there for you to minimize dilution or damaging that capital structure?
We have to get the share price higher. That's the full stop. Okay, you're not raising $150 million equity with a $50 million market cap. You just don't do that, right? But one thing we have been able to achieve is we've kept the cap structure wide open. Okay, we have no debt, we have no streams, we have no royalties other than state royalties here. No gold loans, no prepays, no offtake agreements yet. So we have a lot of optionality in how we fund the project, but the equity side it's all about share price, and we're focused on delivering continued news on positive permit progress, and the technical side shows that this is a robust project. So at some point, the share price has to, investors have to look at it and say, hey, this makes a lot of sense. Let's get in. And certainly at this price, it's a steal. And I think the idea that we continue to demonstrate good news, the value will surface. It has to, and we're very positive about that as well.
Okay, it's a steal. Are you buying any shares?
I'm allowed to buy after the 15th.
I look forward to seeing that.
One thing everybody forgets is, CEOs have all this kind of news and blackout periods and everything else, and until you file that technical report, you are blacked out. But then, I think at that point we'll be in a position to start buying some shares as well. Yeah,
beautiful.
Which is what I said in October.
Okay, Scott, appreciate the update here. You're getting through that tick list of yours. I look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Yeah, we got a big spreadsheet where we're ticking it away. Yeah. Thanks very much.